Hello, this is Kiri. So yeah, let's just get started. This video is going to be about 11 books that I think all girls should read. I mean, it's not necessarily directed at girls. I mean, this is more for teens, but if you're an adult and you like to read young adult romance, or if you're a guy and you like to read girl romance books, then by all means, man. So you do you. Let's just get started. So the first book I have is Coffee House Angel by Suzanne Selfors. This book I got maybe in 7th or 8th grade at a book fair, and it was a pretty good book, honestly. It's a really cute book. It's about this girl named Katrina, and she works at a coffee shop with her grandma. And she sees a homeless guy outside, and she decides to give him some coffee and some chocolate covered coffee beans, just, be nice. And it turns out that the guy's an angel, and he spends basically the rest of the book trying to pay her back for her selflessness. So, there's some romance in it, and it's really cute. And, no matter how old you are, it's a quick read, you can just kind of breeze on through it. It's really cute. I recommend reading it. Good book. That's number 1. So this is a series, actually, the Gemma Doyle trilogy. So the first book is actually this one, A Great and Terrible Beauty. It's kind of complicated as a series, so it's hard to explain, but it's set in a Victorian age, that's one of the things I really love about it, but it involves magic too, because the main character has this gift that allows her to go to this place called the Realms, which is a magical place, and there's a lot of cool stuff there, and she can use some of her abilities from the realms in the real world, and sometimes, and it's a cool book. There's romance with a random Indian guy. Well, he's not random. He's so cute. Well, in my mind, he's cute. But, there's some romance, there's some power, and there's some deception and stuff. It's interesting. It's a good book. The series itself is just pretty good. Yeah, I recommend this as well. Another book fair find. I actually asked my sister to get this one for me when I was a freshman, but, she got this at a middle school book fair. It's Time Between Us by Tamara Ireland Stone. This book, honestly, one of my favorite parts about it is the fact that, the main character quotes music all the time, and there's some really good, well-known songs, because the main character she lives in the 90s, and yeah, so it's kind of a love story between her and a guy from, our time period, who he travels back in time to find his sister, and they meet, and they fall in love, but he can't stay in that time period forever. So it's really interesting, and yeah, I love the music that's referenced in it. A lot of it's really good music. So I love the fact that there's a lot of references to music and some really good songs. Like one of my favorite songs I found through this book, it's called A Walk on the Ocean by Toad the Wet Sprocket. Oh, such a good song. I love it so much. And yeah, there's a lot of good music in this book. Some people on Goodreads didn't seem to like it that much. I don't know. I loved it. It was just my cup of tea. It was great. I recommend this book. Alright, so To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. Jenny Han is a romance young adult novelist. So yeah, this is a pretty good book. It was kind of slow, in the beginning. It kind of dragged on at first, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. There's not even any guys in here. But I guess she writes love letters, but they're to help her get over guys that she likes. And so she had written love letters to the guy that her sister was dating. But her older sister and him had already broken up because her sister went to college. But she had written a love letter to him and a love letter to a guy that she kissed in middle school, and he was her first kiss. And she wrote love letters to a few other people, but she never sent them. She kept them in a hat box. And then one day her sister got pissed off at her, decided to send all the letters. So, her older sister's ex, because the younger sister's the one that sent it, sorry, I should have clarified that. Her older sister's ex realizes, that she liked him, and he's interested in her, and she's like, no. So he tries to talk to her about it at school, and she basically runs up to one of the other guys the letter went to, and just kisses him, and starts acting like he's her boyfriend. And then the guy asks her about it, and she tells him, why, that she was pretending to, be his girlfriend or whatever. And he says that he wants to show his girlfriend that his ex-girlfriend, that she doesn't own him, so he wants to pretend that they're dating as well, so they make a deal to pretend to date, and of course they fall in love. And it's so cute. There's actually a sequel. I just have not read it yet, but I really want to. It's a good book. Okay, this one's one of my all-time favorites. Excuse me. A Night Circus. I love how it's very mysterious. My cat's going into a drawer. So the premise of the book is it's set in like maybe 1800s, 1900s. I'm not really sure the exact time period, but it kind of jumps around time-wise, but it'll always tell you which time period you're in. But so basically there's this competition going on, and these two great magicians train other younger magicians since that they're little kids. And these little kids, they train, and they compete against each other. And the setting for this competition is a circus. Now this competition takes long time. Like it lasts over the course of like 20 or 30 years. But these two magicians, they fall in love, and the thing is, no one can win the competition until someone dies. And that's like they're bound to this competition, like by blood. And so they're magicians, and they basically just create beautiful things for the circus, and that's how they compete. But they fall in love with each other, and it's so amazing. Like, this isn't just one of those books where it's really cutesy. It's honestly just beautiful. I love it. Like, this is a really good book. It's just beautiful. I loved it. Okay, so 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. You might have heard of this one. Supposedly they were making a movie for a while ago, but I don't know what happened with that. It's basically about this girl, and she commits suicide, and she makes 13 cassette tapes, each explaining the reason why. I don't really like that she blamed a ton of people, like, because each cassette tape is her blaming... Sorry, my cat. I don't really like that she blames a ton of people, but each cassette is basically her blaming one person, like, oh, you're the reason why I killed myself. But it was interesting in that, I mean, the characters were well developed, and you got to kind of learn a little bit about what goes on in a person's mind when something like that happens. So I do recommend this one. Not my all-time favorite book, but I like it. Catch a Falling Star by Kim Culbertson. This one's so cute. So this girl named Carter Moon, she lives in a town, I believe it's actually called Little California, and a big movie, I guess, production team, they come to film a movie there, and there's this huge star, his name's Attom, and he's going to be starring in the movie, and her best friend is obsessed with Attom, but Carter Moon, she's not very ambitious, she doesn't really want to leave her small town, and she doesn't really care about celebrities and all that stuff, and she works at her parents' shop, and Attom his manager notices that she's kind of, she just seems like a nice little small town girl. She's not super obsessed with him, and he approaches her with a deal where they'll pay her a ton of money for her to pretend to be Attom boyfriend, because he kind of got into some trouble with the law and such, sort of like Justin Bieber. So they want to pay her that she can pretend to be his girlfriend, and naturally they fall in love, and it's adorable, and I love it. So yes, just realizing all these books except one have romance. Whoa, I have a problem. Okay. This is another series called The Remnant Chronicles. The second book was barely released in July, I think. Now, this is an advanced reader's edition. I actually don't have the first book on me. I do own it, but I lent it to someone. So I just have the second book here. This is an arc, or galley, or whatever you want to call it. But it's a really good series. I'm going to talk about the first book, because if I talk about the second book, it'll spoil the first one. I don't really want to do that. Honestly, I loved this series. I've barely read it in maybe July. And, what's pretty cool about it is, okay, so there's this princess. She has a really long name. I don't even remember all of it. It's super long. She goes by Leah. And she's the first daughter, meaning she has to get, forced into a marriage with another kingdom to create an alliance or some stupid thing like that. And she doesn't want to marry some stupid prince she's never met, so she decides to run away from home. And, she runs away. She goes to this little small town with one of her best friends. But the prince, who she's never met, he's pissed off that he got stood up by some girl, because he wanted to run away too, but he's pissed off that he got stood up by her, and that he didn't do it first. So he goes after her, and then another guy, he's an assassin from a kingdom that doesn't want the marriage to happen. They send an assassin, and he goes after her too. They're both around the same age. They're both hot guys. Oh, yes. But the thing is, when they meet her at the same time, so you don't actually know who she's talking to, if it's the assassin or the prince. You don't know who she's falling in love with, and by the time you find out, it's too late. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's actually not. But it's a really good book, and actually that's not even the whole premise of the first book, but there's just that's maybe half the book. And then after she already falls in love with one of them, there's just a bunch of other stuff. I can't talk about it without being a spoiler though, but it is so good. This series, it sucks that the whole thing's not out yet, and you might want to wait to read this until all the books have been released, until it stops. But if you really want to read it, the first book is called Kiss of Deception. Strongly recommend. Alright, this book is Tiger Lily by Jodi Lynn Anderson. I read this book, I breezed through this one, and I loved it. It's basically, Peter Pan, well, there's Tiger Lily. It's about Peter Pan and Tiger Lily's love story, and it's kind of a tragic sort of thing because you know from the very beginning it's not gonna work out because the Wendy bird is gonna show up, I guess, and Peter Pan's gonna fall in love with her. But it's still it's a beautiful book. Honestly, it's kind of sad, and there were parts where it made me just feel, whoa, this is so deep. But it's one of those books where you're thinking about it for weeks afterwards, and I still think about it sometimes. Yeah, it's very, very well written, and I love this one. So this is probably the last fiction book that I'm going to talk about, but it's called Stolen, and it's basically about a guy. It sounds really creepy, but it's about this guy, and he kidnaps this girl because that he is in love with her, even though he doesn't really know her, but he's in love with like what he's seen of her personality, and he takes her to the Australian outback where he's built a house and all this stuff because he wants her to live with him. Now she doesn't know this guy, so she's kind of freaking out. But it's sort of, she's there for I don't know how long, but it's sort of like her growing to forgive him and like to understand him, and she sort of starts to develop feelings for him as well. Now this one's not really like it's kind of hard to explain without it sounding really bad, but I do recommend this book. It's an easy read. It's a good book, and it's another one where you think about it for a while afterwards. The last book I'm going to talk to you about, and this is not my copy. It's falling apart. Oh gosh. It's actually my friend's copy, and he took it to the Florida Sea Base with him this summer, where we went sailing, and it got super beat up because of the ocean. But this book I've been reading. This is actually my summer reading book. Ugh, I'm recommending a summer reading book to you. Ugh, disgusting. No, it's actually a really good book. It's about, I guess, it helps you understand people. Like it tells you stuff like, oh, don't argue with people. This is an old book. It was written in like the 1920s or something, but it still applies a lot to this world that we live in. It helps you kind of understand like, oh, this is how you can talk to people and get them to like you. And I mean, I like it. I do recommend it. You know, it's about being not necessarily being polite, but just being friendly, like techniques and stuff to get people to listen to what you have to say and how to win arguments and basically by avoiding them and stuff like that. So I recommend this one as well. And that is the 11th book. Whoa. So that's basically it. There's some other books that I would love to recommend to you, but I don't actually own them, such as Jane Eyre. That is an awesome book. I love it. What's another book? Off the top of my head, that's really all I can think of. There's a book called Beauty Queens by Liva Brea, which if you're a feminist, it's a pretty good book. It kind of addresses a lot of different things, but it's a good feminist book. It's about a bunch of beauty queens, and they're in a pageant, like America's Top Model or something like that. They all get stranded on an island, and but the island is also the home of like some huge conspiracy. But these models, they're all trying to survive on an island after a huge plane crash, and it's really good. It's a funny book. So I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to post the links so you can find all these books on Goodreads and maybe look at them. They're all really good books. I recommend it. And yeah, thank you.